I'm back, and we're ready to begin building our excess correlation psychic training device. We've received a few emails with people chomping at the bit to get this information on the build, and we had to take a few days in between the videos so everybody could make their orders and get them in the mail. But I just want to thank you all for your patience, and we're going to get started right now. And the same caveat as last time. We don't want anybody to feel left out of this. If you're not technical, if you're not handy, or you just don't want to be bothered by doing the build yourself, we do have devices up. Our mind-to-mind training device is in the museumoftarot.com shop right now. It's miniaturized. It runs off a 9-volt battery. You put it on, you flip the switch, and it runs, and it takes you through the entire Persinger program. So if you're interested, that's the plug. Other than that, everybody, grab your coffee, and let's get started. So this is where we're going to begin, with the build sheet that I put out on museumoftarot.com. This is up in our Documents and Resources folder, and it is the full list of everything that you need to do the build. And we're going to start on page 2 with the coil materials. The first item you're going to need is a 10-inch embroidery hoop. And I have the one I recommended from Amazon here. It's a plastic hoop by Susan Bates. If you're going to use a wooden hoop, they have little metal clasps on the top. You need to break those off because there can't be any metal on this hoop at all. So this will work great. And I noticed on Amazon these are just about sold out. So I know you're out there buying them, so thanks. Second is our 16 gauge wire. And this is just, it's just 16 gauge. I got the question of whether or not it needed to be pure copper wire, or if it could be copper-clad aluminum wire. Makes absolutely no difference whatsoever, as long as you can wrap it around. It's fine. The only other thing you need is your electrical tape. And the electrical tape is going to be used to fasten this as we go around the hoop. Now, one point to make is that if all you have is something like lamp wire or 2-strand wire, as you can see, it's got the 2 different pieces, all you do is pull these apart. So you just pull them apart like this so you have individual pieces, and you're just going to run the single piece around the same that you would as a single strand wire. Okay, so to begin pulling your wire, what you want to do is you take your electrical tape and get yourself a little piece, just a little piece, cut it off with a pair of scissors, and then put that aside so it's easy to grab. Then you take your coil, you unwrap your coil. Every coil manufacturer is going to wrap them differently. This had some plastic wrap around it, I took it off. And then you find the free end that comes off the coil. So this has a free end here. Hold it between your fingers and then stretch your arm out. Make sure that's stretched tight and that the coil is where your opposite shoulder is. So right here to the opposite shoulder, you see? Now right where this piece was on the opposite shoulder, you're going to take that piece of tape and you're just going to mark it off. Just like that, just so you don't lose track of it. So that leader that we measured is going to start here on the coil. This is where we're going to begin making the winds on the coil. So let's go ahead and get the hoop itself ready. And just go ahead and take off the tag, that's fine. Take this metal piece, unscrew it, and as I mentioned before, you don't want any metal at all on the coil. So go ahead and unscrew that. And let's see if that will pop out. Okay. I need to push this against the edge of my desk. Okay, so I had to push the edge of this against the end of my desk to pop it out the rest of the way. So go ahead and get rid of this. Okay, so you've got your 2 pieces of your coil. Got that ready. Go ahead and take your electrical tape and wrap around the end here just to hold it all together. So I took 2 short pieces of electrical tape and I'll just wrap them around this end and then the opposite end just to hold it all together. There you go. You're ready to go. Now before we start winding the coil, do yourself a favor and take 4 pieces of electrical tape, maybe 7 to 8 inches long like this, and take them and just put them over on the side and hang them off your desk or wherever so they don't get bunched up. And you're going to need these. What you do is you wrap a little bit, wrap the electrical tape around to hold it, go a quarter of the way, and then a quarter of the way to hold the wire as you progress. And yeah, get those cut ahead of time or it'll drive you nuts trying to hold the coil together while you're cutting electrical tape later on. So you've got your tape prepared, you have your hoop ready, and you have your leader marked. Okay, so what you're going to do is start off with the flag basically on the hoop. And it doesn't matter if you wind the wire over or under and around. The handedness doesn't really matter. For me, I like going over and around, so I will start there, but it doesn't really matter as long as it's going in the right direction, you're fine. So we're going to start off with this, and I'm going to try to narrate and do this at the same time, and this is, we'll do what we can here to get this all together. So. And once that is started up and you have maybe 8 to 10 lines around the hoop itself, you want to grab one of these pieces of electrical tape and you want to tape those down just like so. So you want to tape that down. Try not to get caught up on yourself too much. And you just want to tape these down just to hold them in place. Okay. Just like so. Okay, so this begins your winds right here. You're going to continue these around a quarter of the way, 25%, 50%, 75%. And each time you get a quarter of the way around, you wrap it off the same way. And I will continue on with this. As you're progressing along with this, you just want to make sure that the wire is tightened down to the hoop. You don't want any of these winds to be loose. So as I mentioned earlier, as you make it about a quarter of the way around, you take another piece of tape and just tape down your progress. Because if you sneeze or need to use the bathroom and this unwinds, it's going to drive you nuts and you'll be at it all night. Now, once you've wound your coil, you're going to get something that looks like this, with both of the leads coming off where these little protrusions are. To finish off the coil, you just need to even up the leads. So you've got the lead that you measured before by taking it out to arm's length. Okay, and you're going to make the lead coming off the other side an equal length. So you just take your coil and go out to the same length and then cut it off the coil. And you can cut it with just a normal pair of scissors. If it's 16 gauge, it shouldn't be any problem. And let me just do that. Okay. So just like that, I have two leads of equal length coming off the end of the coil. To finish your coil off, you can wrap it the rest of the way with electrical tape. Just wrap it around the same way you did these 4 pieces. But the most important thing is to not get these two leads tangled up or confused. So don't wrap over this area so you have no visibility into what these leads are. In fact, before we get this done, I'm going to take a Sharpie and I'm going to mark off an R and an L on either side, just so we could tell right and left, right-handedness and left-handedness. That will be very important when we do the circuit. So there you go. The first portion of the build is complete. You now have a fully functioning toroid coil. Winding the coil is the most time-consuming portion of the build, at least for me. This took me 45 minutes, a little bit more, to wind, because I don't have great finger sensitivity or dexterity. I did powerlifting and jiu-jitsu for many years of my life, so holding on and doing the little fiddly bits is kind of difficult for big hammy hands like mine. So if anybody else has issues like that, or they just don't want to have to wind the coil, again, we offer pre-made, ready-to-use units in our shop. The question also came up of how you actually wear these, because you can see the 10-inch coil is quite a bit larger than even the largest head like mine. In Persinger's experiments, he was using shower caps. So just straight up shower cap out of the beauty section of Walmart, and you can put that right on your head. With our units, we actually use something a little different so it doesn't look quite so ridiculous. But If you're going to build your own, you're free to go with the shower cap or the hairnet or whatever you wish. And I actually left it out of the build list because I wanted to go over it in the video and give you the option of finding a way to fasten it around your head that works for you. Basically, as long as there's nothing metal interfering in between the coil and your head, so as long as you're not putting it over a helmet or something like that, it should work just fine. If you have any additional questions about the build, please ask in the comments and I'll get an answer out to you. In the next video, we begin building the circuit. And as always, you know how social media works. You got to get likes and follows. So please like and follow the channel. You can see behind me, I've got a whole library of research materials and scientific work and technology that nobody's seen before that I'd love to bring out. And this just helps me get more content out to you. So I appreciate you and thanks for watching.